All right, we are now joined by our Dash for Cash winner, Justin Allgaier, driver of the number 7 Junior Motorsports Chevrolet. We'll go ahead and open up the floor for questions. Yep, Bob.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. I guess you thought if there was a caution after you take fresh tires that you're in the catbird seat, and I guess why risk $100,000 for that?
I think for us the risk was pretty easy, trying to go for the win, right? I mean, we weren't the best car today. We felt like we made good strides in the balance, but we weren't the best car. And I think for us, as green flag, the way the green flag runs have been going, we felt like it was probably going to stay green till the end, and everybody was going to have to come. And getting that second and a half that we were getting on the fresh tires, I felt like would have netted us probably to the lead. And then at that point, you just try to hang on to it. So, proud of Jim Pullman for making that call. I mean, I think, if it works out differently, he probably looks like a hero, right? We still end up winning the $100,000 and getting the Xfinity Series Dash for Cash, which I'm going to be honest with you, nerves were up a little bit at the end there, especially with those guys having tires and, Sam getting the lucky dog with 2 cautions to go, and then Sammy getting on the last caution. But, ultimately, the guys did a great job. We had great pit stops all day. We made good adjustments. Like I said, we just needed to fire off a little bit better to start the race and feel like that, if we were in a better position, I don't think we would have even gambled. But being in the position we were in and we were kind of bleeding a little bit there, we needed to try to make the most of it, and that was the best call.
All right, we'll stay up front with Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. Were you aware of where you were at? I mean, 13th's way back in the field to win the Dash for Cash. Were they telling you in your ear, you're good, you're clear?
Oh, absolutely. At that point, Sam was able to get the after he got the lucky dog and the caution came out, that put him to the back of the lead lap cars, and I knew that there was a decent amount of cars that were with me that waved around. But with a 10-12 lap disparity on tires, like it sometimes can be easier to get through there. So. Eddie DeHaan did a great job of keeping me updated on where he was at. I was giving everything I had. A lot of those guys that I was racing with, heck, I think we passed a bunch of cars that were even on stickers, right? And we were able to kind of get by those guys. But, I knew that we were going to have issues. And then it was just manage the gap, right? Don't get crashed. Don't put yourself in a bad spot. I ended up racing, I think it was the 38 maybe, that I ended up racing side by side with. And I figured if they can go 3 wide and go around us, I guess that's the best option for them, right? But again, I think for us, we weren't the best car today, and we had a little bit of house money with the other 3 having trouble. Listen, this is the weirdest Dash for Cash race I think I've ever been a part of. To have the other 3 a lap down for a majority of the race, to end up a lap down because of a green flag pit stop. I mean, it was like when none of us wanted to win it, right? We were all trying to give it away, but P13, lucky 13, and car number 7, lucky 7, and walk out of here with a Dash for Cash win. So it's a good day.
We'll go right over here.
Nathan Stone with a podium finish. Justin, for a while you're running around top 5. The other 3 cars were a lap down. So just how did you approach that part of it for up until you had a pit?
Yeah, it's weird. The one run there, I tried to save. So I guess it would have been the start of the 3rd stage, right? I tried to save as much as I could at the beginning. Felt like we were doing a really good job. And when it was time to kind of reap the rewards of saving tires, I didn't have it. I just felt like for us, the balance, something was going on. I told him, I don't know if we had something in the front end that maybe collapsed or broke, but I felt like just knowing what I know, like at the beginning of the race where the car was, something just felt a little bit off at the end of the race with the front end. And so we were trying to manage that the best we could. And just at that point, I started falling back. And I think that's when, Jim got the idea to maybe try to split that stage in half. The way you got to run these races, it's super odd. I mean, I guess the 20 and the 18 didn't pit on the comp caution. California, it was the best call, and today it was probably not, right? But for us, after we pitted on that comp caution, we took tires, then it made it, really difficult to figure out what the strategy was going to be. And I felt like we made the call to try to make the most of what we had, and ultimately it bit us. But it's probably I'm probably a little more upset with why the caution came out. I mean, it's a car on pit road, right? I saw 2 other cars spin out on the racetrack, or one blew it right front, hit the wall, and one spun out, and there were no cautions. But then, there's openings on pit road, and we still get a caution with a car on pit road. So it's super frustrating in that regard. But that's just how it works, and we tried to make the most of the cars we were dealt after that.
Head back over here.
Adam Cheek, frontstretch.com. Justin, this is your 5th Dash for Cash win and first since 2018. You also won at Richmond in 2017, but it's been a while either way. But how does this one compare to those? I know you said it was the weirdest one to date.
Well, so Matt Lederer from Xfinity and I have a running joke now because the race here in Richmond, actually, we dominated that race. And a late race caution came out, somebody stayed out, then jumped the restart. I got passed, and then it was like a snowball effect, and I ended up, I think, 3rd that day and won the Dash for Cash. And I literally went into the ceremony of the Dash for Cash beyond frustrated. Like, I was fuming mad at how the whole thing went down. And Matt's like, he's like, man, I've never seen somebody so angry that I just gave him a $100,000 check. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And again, what Xfinity does for the series and for the sport is truly unmatched, right? It's really, really cool. And it is a big deal, not only to myself to be that guy, but to also get that money back into the race team and, help make these race cars better and better every week. So, I've changed my approach, I would say, to the Dash for Cash and being more excited when you have the opportunity to go for it and when you have the opportunity to win it. Today was weird, though, because of how we all finished, right? I think given the same circumstances a year ago or 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 13th wasn't going to win the Dash for Cash, right? And today it did. So, I guess in that regard, that's great, but I would love for it to be up there battling for a win. And, if you run second and lose the Dash for Cash, you're upset. But if you run 13th and win it, that's just really odd. So I'm gonna smile all the way to the bank on this one.
All right, any other additional questions? Yep, up front here with Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Justin, obviously, with this series, it's as much a part of drivers like yourself, but as much younger drivers. So with Chandler winning, that's 2 guys with him and Sammy getting their first victory early in the season. Obviously, they're with good teams, so understand that. But do you see anything with either one of those drivers about, even if you're in good equipment, you still have to do things? And quite frankly, this easily could have been Chandler's second win of the year in one sense already.
Yeah, I mean, Chandler did a fantastic job today. I thought, they've been really, really good all year. The whole college camp has been really good this year on short runs, right? That's been their bread and butter, and it has been for a number of years now. So obviously they did a great job, and they put themselves in a great position. But you still have to have somebody holding the steering wheel and execute, and he did a great job. And Josh Berry was really, really good on the long run today, like unbelievably good on the long run today. And the way the cautions fell ultimately put them in a really bad spot, and I think they finished 3rd, right? So I think that it's interesting how the race played out. But between Chandler and Sammy, super, super talented race car drivers, and as you mentioned, both with great race teams, great crew chiefs, great spotters. So they're obviously using the tools that they're given, and you're right, Chandler could have won 2. I think Sammy had a fast enough car today to maybe challenge for a win. So the future for our sport is actually really, really bright, and obviously the Xfinity names are made here, right? I'm probably not in that boat. I guess at one point in my career I was, but it's still cool to see. We lost some guys that went out last year, and it's cool to see the names of drivers that have replaced them, and the way that they've raced and the way they're getting it done. Obviously, is really, really talented, and they're both very respectful race car drivers too. And I think that here, every person that's probably set up on this table and you guys have talked to all week, they've talked about respect, and it's been a common theme. But you got 2 fast race car drivers that are super respectful. A lot of these younger kids that are coming up need to look at those 2 and say, hey, these are great role models to follow along with. And there's plenty of them in our sport. The bad apple always ruins it for the rest of us. But those 2 have really done a great job, and there's a reason why they're up front and winning races. And
in regards to that, I did want to ask you about as a veteran presence in the sport and somebody who has seen what it's like in Cup and come and over here and had success even still. With the talk about respect is about the younger drivers. It's about how they learn from an early age and so forth, and how the game has changed. So as somebody who is a veteran, I would assume a garage leader in a way, is there a responsibility on you to do that? Or is it a case of like, hey, I've got 50 other things to worry about. It's not my job to be, somebody's guardian in a sense.
Well, I think we're in a different time. First of all, The cars are more resilient, right? You look at 20 years ago, if you were out there being an aggressor, you didn't make it to the end of the race, right? Like that's why guys drove with respect. A guy like Mark Martin, Jeff Burton get brought up a lot because of how they raced. Ultra successful, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, ultra successful, but they were super respectful on the racetrack. Now they knew how to put you in a bad spot, but they still were ultra respectful. And what we've seen that's changed is the cars are more resilient, and there's just more on the line, right? And look, this isn't young kids that's causing the issue. It's every driver in the field, right? It's veterans, it's guys that have been around for a little bit, it's young guys coming up because it's accepted. And then if you're not being the aggressor, then you're getting run over, right? So then you get run over enough times and you're just like, I'm sick of it. I'm just going to go back. Joey Logano, I think, has been very adamant. Like, hey, you see me in the garage, you see me outside the racetrack, I'm best friend. When we get to the racetrack, it's 110% I'm going for it, and I don't care who's in my way. I'm going through them, right? That's the mentality that I think has become the norm, and it makes it really tough because the more it becomes normal here, the more it bleeds down to the short tracks, local, Friday and Saturday night. And at some point, we all run out of money. That's the hard part, right? You can only crash stuff so many times before it hits rock bottom. So, yeah, I'm hopeful that more drivers are speaking up about it and talking about it. And, look, when I started in this sport many moons ago, you either got handled on the racetrack or you got talked to after the race was over. And I just don't know that line of communication, even from a veteran like myself, is accepted or warranted. Try to, but sometimes I think, as drivers, we're our own worst enemies, and it's disappointing to see what it's kind of become.
Do you look at things that you've done over the last 5 or so years since the composite body's been in, and you've been able to be more aggressive, and look at how you drive now compared to how you used to drive? And I don't want to say embarrassed, but I maybe shocked, or how you look at what.
Absolutely. I've made decisions. Look, you gotta look within first, right? I've made decisions that because I could and I did and won some races doing it, right? I think if you look at 2023 and the driving style that I've had this year and what I've tried to do to be better and different, I feel like that. I wish I would have done that 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. You saw a lot of guys. I pulled over for a lot of guys today. The hard part is when you pull over for somebody and you let them go because they're faster and you run them back down and then you get run into, you get chopped, you get blocked. It's disappointing, but it's going to take all of us as a collective to make this better. It's not bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking the product. We've seen more exciting racing than I've ever seen in my entire career in these last couple years. But I'm hopeful that we can at least find a common ground with everybody that, hey, this is the line. This is acceptable. This isn't. And ultimately, if we all can abide by that, if we can abide by that, it'll sort itself out. Really, honestly, like I think the way that it did 20 years ago, it sorted itself out, and I think it's going to too now.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take another question right here.
Hey, Justin, Kevin Schwarzy with the Racing Times. Your dad is Mike Gator Allgaier, been around Kevin Schwarzy, Racing Times. You've been around forever. Your dad's Mike Gator Allgaier. Never forget early 90s at Springfield when he was wanting to show me your midget, the
Yep.
AC Delco on the side of the car. And you jumped on it, smiles and everything. To take a step back further from Dustin's question from, ARCA days, Xfinity days, Cup days, back to the Xfinity days, you go back even further into the 90s, racing for your dad. We all know, most people know what a respectable, great guy your dad is. What would your dad say to you, and what would it be like on the ride home if you drove like some of these kids are today?
Well, like I said, it was a different time, but we had a lot of hard conversations. I think I have a lot of respect for my dad because of the person that he is, and he's such a great man. Not even just to me, right? Like he's a great dad, but he's just a great dude in general, and we had a lot of tough conversations. But on Sunday morning, Monday morning, whenever it was, we were going back to shop, Wednesday night, whatever. If I tore my stuff up, I was fixing it, and I was working in the tire shop to make enough money so that I could even pay my bills and have rent, and then go to the race shop at night, work on race cars all night. It kept me out of trouble. That's for sure. But really, honestly, like you put your heart, soul, and here. I think Ryan Preece last week said it. Ryan comes from a different style, like a different background. He comes from a lot more like I do, and you've worked on your own race cars, and you've built, you've thrashed all night after you get wrecked on a Friday night so that you can go to the racetrack Saturday. No offense to some of these guys that are coming up, but that's not an option anymore, right? I mean, if you're not 14, 15 years old running ARCA, if you're not 16, I guess, running a truck on a short track, 18 years old running in the Xfinity Series or truck or cup, these guys feel like they're too old, right? But that's not really the case. It's not. So, I think it's just a different background, different style, different upbringing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, like I said, the racing's been great. It's hard to be upset when the on track product has been good, right? Let's be honest. Some of our fans really enjoy the carnage. Some of them don't. But we got to cater to everybody, and I guess that if you didn't have passion, you didn't love it, you wouldn't put yourself in the positions you put yourself in. So I think for us, today's a great example. We willed out a 13th place finish when it did not look. It was bleak. At certain points, you could have got upset, could have started wrecking people, but my goal was to go out there and do the best job I could and finish the race the way we did. And ultimately, I think when you do the right thing, it pays dividends.
All right. Any further questions? All right. Thanks so much, Justin. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sure is quiet in here.
What do you expect? It's the media center. They never talk to each other.
I scream every time I come in here.
All right, we're now joined by today's NASCAR Xfinity Series race winner here at Richmond Raceway, Chandler Smith, driver of the number 16 Colleague Racing Chevrolet. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Bob.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. Is this sweeter because of what happened at Vegas?
Yes and no. Just like I said in multiple interviews now, this is kind of just a testament to what I said in Vegas. Yeah, it sucks, but it obviously wasn't in God's works for me that day. And I was fine with that. I was good with that. And I knew there was something bigger and better that he was planning out for me, that I just had to be still, be faithful, and keep on trucking. And, I mean, here's proof of it. I don't know much more proof I can give to people. And when it comes to God's blessings on myself and my family, it's just it all goes to him. I can't appreciate Chris Rice, Matt Colleague, my wife, everybody at Colleague Racing for stepping out a leap of faith for myself. Going in on a young kid that is reckless, and I'm just a young kid still, right? So just really, really grateful to be here.
One more. Is it sweeter question? Is it sweeter to beat the 20, which might have been a car that you were eyeing last year?
No, because I'd rather be in the 16, to be quite honest with you. I could care less about them guys over there. I'm just focused on, everybody here at Colleague Racing, making our program better, keep building and building to get even bigger.
We'll go over here first, and then Jordan. And then
Kevin Schwarzy with the Racing Times. I'll segue off of your comment about family. One of the first things you did when you got to victory lane was grab your child and hold him up, and maybe talk about the emotions with your family there and what they mean to you.
It means everything. They didn't go to Coda, they didn't go to Phoenix, and anybody that was around me at either one of those racetracks would definitely probably say that I was a little more crankier than usual. Would you agree with that, Chris? I was a little cranky at both of those tracks, so having them here is amazing. It makes my job way more fun, way more enjoyable. I really feel deeply bad for crew guys, crew chiefs, and all that they don't have the luxury to bring their families. They're apart from them. Granted, they don't have a lot of time off, but just that 30 minutes after you leave the racetrack, sit down for dinner and you're with your family, that is really, really big. When you look at our schedule, I mean, starting February, end of November, you're away from your family a really long time. So I'm just really grateful and blessed that I can bring mine, but my heart definitely aches for the guys and gals that can't do that.
Go to Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic, how do you feel you've grown as a driver from last year to this year? Have you made gains, or are you still the same driver?
I feel like I'll leave that up to you guys more than anything. I don't know. I just go out and try to perform each week and be humble about where I am and just take what the car will give me and be grateful for the opportunity. I'll leave that to you guys. You guys like numbers and statistics and all that. So you tell me, have I gotten any better?
You're winning.
Okay.
What areas do you feel like you can still improve?
Everything. You can always be better. So whether it's myself, whether it's the car, whether it's communication, there's always places you can improve. So every single sector that you can name, we can get better at.
We'll go to Jerry.
Jerry Jordan kicking the tires.net. So how does it feel to get the first time win in the Xfinity Series?
It's great. I mean, especially here at Richmond Raceway. It's Chris Rice's home track. It's my favorite racetrack. This track drives really, really similar to kind of my roots of racing, Five Flag Speedway. I was talking to my wife when she came. I was like, this is literally a big Pensacola with how the track's laid out, with how low it is and stuff like that. Like, it's really just a big version of Pensacola, Florida. That's why I really love this racetrack a lot. So to get it at my favorite one, that's awesome. I got my first win in my truck at Bristol, which at the time was my favorite racetrack. So once I had a good run here in the truck last year, this became my favorite racetrack. Isn't that funny how drivers run good at one racetrack? Oh, now it's my favorite track. But no, I truly like any type of short track racing. It's kind of the roots of NASCAR, where we all came from, all the way back to the original when they, started this whole deal. So I really enjoyed to come here and looking forward to Martinsville.
We'll go to Nathan then Bob.
Nathan Song with the podium finish. Chandler, could you just walk me through those last couple of restarts and trying to fight off the 20 there?
The biggest relief was when the first caution came out and I knew we were going to get tires. We had the best car all day for about 30 to 35 laps. We got some work to do to go back to the shop, figure out how to make our stuff live a little longer and still have good fire off speed. There's obviously a happy medium there, but I feel like after today I have a good direction, kind of what to give feedback-wise to my guys to make our program a little bit better at tracks like this. So with that being said, though, when that caution fell, knew how many laps approximately was going to be left. I kind of knew right then and there that I just had to do my job and be clean, be good, and the cards would play out where they needed to be.
And obviously tomorrow for you, making your first career Cup start, after winning your first Xfinity race today. Just what are your expectations for tomorrow?
I just want to finish the Cup race, to be quite honest with you. I don't have really any expectations. I don't know. I mean, I have a general feel of what the Cup car felt like at Daytona, but that's so different than here at Richmond, so I'm just a blind squirrel. I don't really have any expectations. I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to be, racing on Sunday at Richmond with colleague racing. Matt Colley, Chris Rice, giving me this opportunity is amazing. So I'm going to go out and perform and see where it ends up.
All right, we'll go to Bob, then Dustin, and then back over here.
Bob Pockers, Fox Sports. To follow up on that, are you more anxious, do you think, at the start of the race tomorrow, it being your first Cup start, or today, where maybe the expectations to perform and win are a little bit higher?
No, this sounds really bad. I don't have any pressure for tomorrow because I have absolutely nothing to lose at all. I'm just racing 5 races this year and going to just learn, simple as that. So I don't really have any pressure. Just want to go out there, do my best, see kind of where our Cup program is here on the short track, see what I feel like we could work on and get better at on that side, try to grow that program a little bit, and also just get experience. Racing on Sundays with that caliber of drivers for 400 miles is pretty big. That's going to help me with my racecraft when I come back on Saturdays too. So really looking forward to just the experience and yeah.
Dustin?
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Chandler, was about 19 months ago when you got your first truck win. So in that time to get the Xfinity win, make the first Cup start, I'm curious in how you feel the length of time has gone in one sense. Has this been a seemingly quick period or is it a long period? Because I assume for a younger person, each day seems like it takes forever to get to a point. So 19 months might seem longer to somebody that's older. But I'm curious how you look at this path over the last 19 months.
Yeah, it's been a lot of high moments, low moments, struggling and growing and getting to know myself and trying to figure out, what's that next leap that I got to make to be a better race car driver? What's that next? Okay, I'm here. What do I got to do to be here now? So trying to figure that out and better myself. Also having my wife, and now we have a son as well. I mean, that's been a huge factor in kind of honestly my success that I have now. They ground me more than anything, and they give me way more to go out and be hungry about and to go work my ass off every single weekend and throughout the week, because this is the fun part. This is like the 5% that people get to see of race car drivers. What goes on through the week is a lot more than this. So definitely them, but 19 months I feel is forever ago. Like 19 months, that kind of blows my mind, but These cars really suit my driving style. They really drive a lot like a super late model, which that's what I come from race since I was 12 years old. Trying to warm old Chris Rice over here to get me in a super, but we're working on that. We're working on it. So with that being said, that's kind of why I've had a lot of great people like Chris, Bruce, everybody on the 16 group, everybody at Colleague Race, and a lot of good mentors to help me with the leap from trucks to Xfinity, and that's why the successes came so fast.
Go ahead.
Kevin again with the racingtimes.net. The broadcast team of Kevin Harvick and Joey Logano and Adam Alexander pointed out also your restarts, even
Oh, that's not good.
early in the races.
That's not
during
good.
the race.
I went back and watched. That's probably not good.
Maybe you can talk about your restarts because they seem really impressive.
I thought they were good, but they probably think I'm too aggressive. But okay, well that's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, no, I mean they were good. Coming from the truck series, you gotta fight for your life on restarts. That's where you make your hay. If you don't, you lose 5 spots. And I had to learn that the hard way for my first full year in the truck series, and just acclimating to that and trying to up my aggressive level. So translating that over to the Xfinity Series, I mean, this sounds really bad, but a lot of these guys aren't aggressive on restarts. Just call it how it is. They're really not. So I'm able to take advantage of guys a lot easier, and it pays off for myself. So, I mean, I'm going to keep doing it. It's working out for us.
Any additional questions? All right. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.